Well, as I said, Lindsay, Harrow has always been one of my most favourite kind of like towns. A town when I first discovered over 20 years ago, 98 people out there in the western kind of like part of Victoria. But it was a character called Ange Newton, and I just want to use today to honour Ange. Ange was the publican there at the Hermitage Hotel in Harrow, and she was just your ultimate community builder. And I can remember that this was a town that was just losing everything as the sheep industry was collapsing and public sector jobs were being withdrawn from Western Queensland. And I think the catalyst event was when the local nun got withdrawn from the town and sent back to Melbourne. And they had a bit of a wake to farewell her. And in the midst of this time, Ange got up and said, you know what, every time we gather, is to farewell someone. And we just spend the whole time woeing about what we've lost and whatever. Why don't we come together and talk about what we have got? And I believe we've got three great things. She said, Harrow, we are the first town that was established in inland kind of like Victoria. That's got to be worth something. Secondly, look where we are. We're kind of like within striking distance of Coonawarra. We're close to kind of like three borders. We've got fantastic location advantage. But finally, she said, you've been to the cemetery lately? Have you seen the great kind of like stories we have there in the cemetery? And she then said, why don't we bring them alive? And in her own words, I thought it was just great to re-quote her from 20 years ago. Harrow was down to being a 2-keg-a-week place and struggling. It needed an outside income. We looked within, we identified our assets, location to other tourism product, its history as the oldest inland town in Victoria, and a cemetery full of great stories. With these assets, we've scripted a story based on the town's heritage and folklore, and the rest is definitely history. And what she then instigated was the Harrow by Night Sound and Light Show. And that's been running, I suspect, now for well over 20 years. And today we're going to hear an update of where this town's at, including still continuing to kind of like run the Sound and Light Show. So let's hear the story from Harrow, and just look forward to hearing what they're now doing. But I just want to remind people where they came from. That simple thing again of doing an asset map and beginning to kind of like build upon your story. And it's a town that really did reinvent itself around a pile of stories from the cemetery.
It's just such a brilliant little story. And Peter, Rural Aid and I are so grateful for you bringing this story to us, because we've so enjoyed speaking to our guest now, Josie Sangster, who is involved with a number of the tourism activities in the town. But Josie, I thought before we get started, for people who haven't been to the beautiful little town of historic Harrow, and I'm going to throw a poll up in a second, can you tell us a bit about where it is, what its background is, and the population of the community and so forth?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I don't think we've got audio, Josie. We might need to turn your microphone on.
Well, it was on. It's just takes a little while. We'll have to pedal faster here in Harrow. Thank you, Lindsay. And
there we go. Nice work.
I spoke to Ange up in
It's all right.
Darwin this
You're perfect now.
afternoon. And
tell us a bit about Harrow.
She really
Where is
did
it?
put Harrow on
What's
the
story
map.
of
So
Harrow?
I'm pretty much a Johnny-come-lately in that regard. But Harrow is a beautiful little town. Rolling hills bring you down over the Glenelg River and into Harrow, with a population of 110 now, with a bit of a population explosion with a few babies being born this year, which, you know, has increased the population by about 10%. It is an hour's drive south from Horsham, and about the same from Casterton, and about 50 kilometres due east of the South Australian border. So we are really in the middle of nowhere, but we don't operate as if we're in the middle of nowhere. We think we're an epicentre, and maybe little towns do, I don't know. But Harrow was put on the map by Major Mitchell back in 1836, and the town started to develop from there. It has a multicultural history. The Chinese came through, set up camp on the way to the goldfields. Indar Sondhu came through with an Indian hawker in 1920 with a bag of cash to buy a large station, which actually happened to be Muller Station, where the famous Unaram and Johnny Muller learned to play cricket. The Sondhu family still farm that property 4 generations on. Harrow is located in the West Wimmera Shire, in Wodjabolic country, on the border of Gunditjmara country, and the Glenelg River separates those two country. So we have a great connection with our First Nation peoples. But mainly, I would say, through the cricket story that we celebrate at the Harrow VIC. Wonderful, albeit small. I think we're having one of our delays. Oh, of course we have.
So, Josie, you just mentioned sorry, we've got a bit of a time lag here. I won't do that to you again, I promise. But I did.
About 20 years ago,
okay.
the people of Harrow
you just mentioned cricket
together.
So what is
and set up
Harrow's
a business plan with great vision and foresight to open a museum that tells the story of the first 11 of 1868. And Johnny Muller, Unaram and Johnny Muller, who spent a Wodjabolic man who learnt the game of cricket at Muller and Pine Hill Station and played cricket for Harrow, and is buried in the Harrow Cemetery, but was certainly the all-star, all-rounder of the first 11 team of 1868, which first team to represent Australia or abroad, and they were all but one Aboriginal. So the slide that you see now is Unaram and Johnny Muller. Later in life, way after the tour, looking handsome, but also in his 3-piece suit, but also wearing the silver fob watch that was awarded to him at Lord's for his fine display of cricket in Bra, the Gentleman of Sussex, on June the 26th, 1868, which potentially is probably the, I stand to be corrected, first to be ever awarded internationally, I would say. Johnny Muller, Unaram and Johnny Muller, yeah. delay. So, absolutely. So hopefully there's no delay on that.
Sorry, we do have a delay too. I just thought I might, we've got a little video of Johnny Muller parking. Happy if I play it?
Okay. I'm going to play it.